In this video, we're going to look at the accounts page, namely how to save and restore snapshots. That will be the focus, and we will also have a quick look at how we can clone accounts from a remote cluster like mainnet or devnet. So here we have the usual suspects. On the left, we have the backend of Luzid running. On the right, we have the UI. Currently, there are no transactions yet. And here we have the tic-tac-toe app that we use to demonstrate some of these things. So let's start by funding the player, and we see the transaction came in as we expect, and we have now the account of that player here. Now we can also go and create the game. That takes a second because, as we know, it has to first clone the program of the tic-tac-toe game. And here we created the game. Now if we go to our accounts, we can see that the game is here. It is currently with an empty board. And let's play a little bit. So let's make a few moves. All right, and now we can go ahead and try to take a snapshot of that. So basically right now we look at the game and it has XO and X here, right? And we can now say, okay, I want to snapshot that state of the game. And what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to clean out the existing snapshots. So we have those that the game itself creates, which we don't want. And we have some older here, snapshots here that I created while I prepared for this video. But we want to create a new one. Let's call it 1. And we call it XO __ X. So basically we kind of reproducing the board, so we can easily verify that what we're actually restoring is what we were saving, right? So we create that one. Let's play it a little more. Every time we play, the account actually updates. We can actually go in here, right? And we can see now that it has that state now. And let's go ahead and create another snapshot. Let's call that 2. And again, we're going to mirror what's on the board. Save that. And now we have that in our snapshot. Again, we're going to remove the snapshot that the app creates, and now we are left with the ones that we just created. We can play a little bit more. We can make one more and one more over here. And again, clean this up. And now we can go ahead and say, okay, well, I want to restore this snapshot, right? And so all we have to do, we reselect it. We can actually see what's inside of it. It's XO, and in the middle of what an X right there. And we can restore that. And we can see immediately this state got restored, right? And then we can play again a little bit, right? And again, the game creates a bunch of snapshots, which we don't want, but we can remove them. And then we can basically go and look at the second snapshot. And the second snapshot is exactly what it says, XOOX and then X here. And we can restore that one instead. And there it is. And you already saw that the app is creating snapshots, so obviously you can control these with the SDK that Luzid also provides, but that is a topic of another video, so we won't go into that right now. Okay, so now we got the snapshot restored a few times, and here's our account, right? And obviously it has the current state right now, and we can actually look at how we did restore these snapshots over time. So we can go back here, right? So for instance, we were playing, and we got all the way to turn 9, right? We went from 8 to 9 here and put a on board 2-0. We put an O right here, right? And now if we went to the next one, we actually did restore the snapshot. So we can see that we went from turn 9 to 4 because the snapshot happened. We took that at the turn 4, and then we can also see that we removed a bunch of pieces that we already had on the board, right? They went to nothing. And you can also see how that happened, right? So, and then we can go forward again, and then we are playing again, right? Now we were basically back to turn 4 and we went to turn 5, right? So basically you can use that in your tests where you can go back to a state over and over because you have a snapshot of it, and then you can try different things. So now in turn 5 and 6, and then 6 and 7, and 8, and now I went back again to 7, which means we restored that other snapshot that we had that we took at turn 7. And in case you're wondering how that works under the hood, I can show you. So you're probably asking yourself, when I restore a snapshot, how does it actually work? Well, there's a transaction that gets executed in order to restore a snapshot, like any other transaction, except usually a transaction that you invoke or an instruction is implemented by the program itself. And in this case, it would be the tic-tac-toe program, but here that is not the case. Here we can see that we invoke the magic block system program. And I just navigated to the transaction that did that with the N key, And that allows us to quickly inspect what's going on here. We can also open that in the Explorer. It's like any other transaction that you would normally run in the validator. And it's just that the magic block program is responsible for executing that. And that's all there's behind it. The only difference is that in the real world, that instruction does not exist. Like, you're not able to run this kind of transaction to directly mutate an account, but with Luzid you can, because it is useful in a development scenario. And then, as mentioned, I wanted to show how to clone programs from clusters like mainnet or devnet. So what we do here, we go to the accounts tab or page, and we go to the remote accounts tab, and then we just take any account, like I'm going to have an address prepared here, paste it in here, and it will find it wherever it does find it. Like in mainnet, it doesn't exist. On devnet, it does exist. And we can simply now clone this account into our validator. And then we can see that there's actually a clone transaction. It's the same kind of feature like restoring snapshots that's not available in a normal validator, but it is available in Luzid because it is useful for development. Now, what happens if you clone a program? Let's have a look. So we can go back to the remote accounts tab and put a program in here. In this case, the delegation program of Magic Block. And this is available on devnet, on mainnet, and we can basically decide which one we want. We want from mainnet in this case. So we clone that. It takes a little longer because it's larger. But if you look at the transaction now closely, we can see that not only the delegation program itself got cloned, but also the executable buffer, and if IDLs are available, those get also cloned. But as you know, programs are cloned into the validator on demand, so most likely you don't have to deal with that tab too much, but it's still fun to play around with. And as I mentioned before, that functionality that we just showed is also available via the Luzid SDK. So if you want to clone an account into the validator as part of your tests, and it's available on devnet, for instance, then you can do that. So thanks for watching. In the next video, we will look at workspaces.